Well, the drilling regulations are to be developed when the drilling is to take place, and the drilling was agreed with Crogga as recently as April 2022 to take place from January 2026. I'm surprised that Mr Ashford didn't notice that in the 6 years when he's been in Tynwald there weren't those regulations taken through Tynwald, because they are subject to Tynwald approval. Basically, there are three types of regulations in my head at the moment. The first type is the ones that exist, and they're fully capable of being used for exploration. So, for instance, last winter, Crogga had a seismic survey permit from the Department of Environment, Food and Agriculture, which it didn't take advantage of, and it's been in correspondence with them. So there are many regulations that already exist to cover the exploration phase. There are then the regulations like drilling regulations, which Crogga knows all about, and we've communicated greatly over the last over months, if not years, with Crogga about this, and those drilling regulations will look very close, will look very similar to the ones from the UK, the North Sea Transition Authority guidelines, I'm sure. And then there's a third type of regulations, the ones which are in the gap, which we exist in the UK but don't exist in the Isle of Man, and so therefore they're the difficult ones to imagine. They're all about what happens in the worst case, and they're the hardest ones. So we have actually commissioned or work with Attorneys General's chambers to understand the gaps that we need to address, and we've actually some months ago, quite a few months ago now, looked to begin to get all the money that would be involved in putting together those regulations, because there's this oft-quoted argument that this costs the public purse nothing. It does cost the public purse money once you get into drafting regulations for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which is the potential for hydrocarbons. The other point I wanted to make sure that the public understood is Mr Ashford's not quite right. The situation is completely clear at the moment. A seismic survey is needed, and what Crogga has done is they've applied to vary their licence. Previously, they varied their licence. I now expect to have all the paperwork very, very shortly to be able to make an informed decision, perhaps with ministerial colleagues, about and that information will include technical advice, legal advice, to make the decision whether to allow Crogga to vary the licence. But they know exactly where they are because they've had a licence since 2017, 2018, and the situation is clear. It's just they want to change the situation. And that's it.
Just to clarify then, for anyone listening, just ultimately then, are you the decision maker? Does it come down to you?
Infrastructure is the other side of the licence with Crogga. There's been huge communication in recent months at technical level. I've met Crogga. I've also met with the potential well operator. I've also met with the potential environmental impact assessment. Sometimes what's even happened in those meetings has been misinterpreted or misrepresented. And the only reason why we need to avoid face-to-face meetings in that sense is if there's any risk to misrepresentation or inside what happens in those meetings. So I'm looking forward now to complete constructive dialogue with Crogga and its representatives to make sure that we can make the right decision for the people of the Isle of Man who have these hydrocarbons ultimately. It's a very important opportunity.
And you mentioned on Tuesday that we're on the verge of a decision paper coming out which would see drilling or could see drilling approved. Is it possible, is there a timeline on that?
I hope to make the decision very quickly.
And so there seems to be doubt, I guess, the general perception from the public is that these plans ever actually come to fruition? What are your own feelings about that?
I don't have my own feelings in the sense that the reason why I'm involved in this is I don't have a pre-declared position in this. I just want to make sure the right decision is made. We've got the Climate Change Act. We've got political division inside Tynwald. We've got political division in Manx society. The licence has been given, though. Crogga have the opportunity to exploit our hydrocarbons, and we're working in good faith to enable them to do that.